There's some squeezes. So we have pretty much everything with Mighty Mouse buttoned up as far as the turbo concerned. There's only 3 small things I'd say we have left to go, but other than that, she has been running great. I've got a couple 100 miles on it now. One thing I want to do, you guys know I run my pre-filter in here, which is pretty much just a section of pantyhose, which it works, but I mean, as you guys can see, it clogs pretty easy and fast. So yes, it works. It's probably not the best. The reason why I'm running that is this air filter I got here to use for the turbo off of eBay or Amazon, one of them. It's just a paper filter, and it doesn't do the best job at filtering fine dust. That's why all your power sports uses an oiled foam filter, because it captures the fine dust a lot better. So to remedy that, I just got a couple of these foam filter covers that should be about the right size. I may have to cut it and trim it a little bit, that's no big deal, but we're gonna cut one of these, modify it to fit over the paper filter in there so we can oil it and do that. So that's item number 1 on the list. Item number 2 is I need to take my blow-off valve and snorkel it. I still want to be able to take Mighty Mouse into mud holes, not super deep mud holes like you see some of these guys doing with their crazy builds. I'm not into the super deep, but you guys know from my videos, especially from the last couple videos I just published, which was the best mud holes I've taken Mighty Mouse through, I still like to play in the mud a little bit. So I want to get that snorkeled, so we're going to work on that. And also, to go along with snorkeling that blow-off valve, I need to do something with this exhaust. If I get into deep water, this is pretty much a straight shot right into the turbo. So if I was to get into deep water and have water come into that, like say if I stall and this shuts off, that water is going right into the turbo, and that probably would not be a good thing for the turbo. So my thoughts on this is I have this aftermarket tip that just bolts in. So I'm thinking if I make an end that I can unbolt this tip and bolt on a snorkel tailpipe up here that I can attach to the rack to keep it fastened, I never get in mud or water deeper than this rack, so I think I'd be fine to run it up here somewhere that I can unbolt this, bolt that on when I want to play in the mud, and that should have us fixed up for playing in the mud. Everything else in under there is pretty much watertight, and that should have Mighty Mouse pretty much wrapped up to go. I want to kind of definitely want to get this air filter done today and the snorkel done today if I can find the pieces to snorkel it before the snow gets deep and I'm flinging snow up around and sucking in. So let's start with the easiest on today's list and put one of those foam covers on our paper air filter. Alright, let's take my little tip off. I should probably come up with a little better tip than this PVC one since I have all this nice plumbing. This has sentimental value. This is a piece of my original snorkel on this guy. I don't know, we may do something. I got all that other intercooler pipe up there. I could probably make a better one with, but we'll see. And wiggle it out of the clip. Voila! And there you can see this is just a paper filter, but I think this will work. Is it going to be big enough is the question. Wonder if I was to simple this down and just cut a layer of that to fit in there like that. That might work. So I should be able to trace. Yeah, I think that'll work nicely. Okay, so I just ordered this Uni foam filter oil off at Amazon. We're going to use it to filter this. Now, this foam filter oil is super sticky. If you guys have dealt with this stuff, you know that. So a trick I like to do to keep from getting it all over my hands and not wasting gloves is I'll just put it into a Ziploc baggie and pour some in the baggie and then work it around in the baggie. And it doesn't matter how much you get, because I'll zip this up and leave the excess in the baggie then for future use. But we're just going to zip her up, and we'll just work her around that way, make sure we get all the angles. It'll take a little bit, but looks like a little bit too much air in there. You want to try to get that air out of there so we can work it around. But it'll help you oil it without getting all over. I guess it's kind of redundant because I still got to pull it out to put it in there, so I'm still going to have to put at least one glove on. But this way is at least not as messy, and you don't waste. I guess the biggest benefit is you're not wasting all your extra oil because you can leave it in the baggie for future use. And we'll just work around here good. Squeeze it by hand. Get all that extra out. Look at that. There we go.
Perfect.
Give her some squeezes. Get that extra out. So, we'll put that right in here like this. And now, we'll have some better filtration from all the fine particle dust. Alright, all back together. The screws will kind of help hold that filter in place too, so it doesn't wrap down over to keep it in place. So now we just got to stick everything back together. Yes, I have that held in place with a zip tie still. Nothing wrong with using zip ties. It's a good heavy duty zip tie at least. Alright, item 1 on the list. Done! Alright, so here's my blow-off valve. Now what I'm hoping to be able to do is to go to town and find at a hardware store or like Lowe's, somewhere like that, a PVC piece that I can screw in here in place of this and then be able to snorkel from there. If not, if I can't find anything that'll screw into this, then I will probably end up just taking this and cutting this off so I can get a Fernco or something around, like these clamps here, around this and then go from there. So I'm going to head to town, see what I can find, and check back in with you guys. Well, I wasn't able to find anything at a local hardware, anything that could screw into this like this cap does. So we're going to have to improvise, and I think what I decided I'm going to do for a temporary until I can maybe machine something that'll fit in this is I'm just going to take this, I'm going to cut it off, just use a good old-fashioned Fernco then. I think I'll have enough to get on there and get a bite and go from here to PVC. Yeah, that'll at least work for a temporary to get me through to winter time, and then maybe before we hit any mud, either I can machine something for that or get Greg to machine me a piece of tube that we could screw into there. This will work for time being, so I'm going to go ahead and mock this little blow-off valve snorkel up and see if it'll work. Alright, mock-up is all done. This really isn't how I wanted to do it. I was kind of hoping to be able to keep it back here a little more hidden, but I don't have room with the bars and everything to do that, going with this size of a pipe. So at least we're kind of symmetrical there to our intake. Yes, that's up a little higher, but it is what it is. Besides, when people realize that this is turbocharged and I'm out riding, they're not even going to worry about these snorkels on here. So of course I'm going to pull this off now. I'm going to paint it black to hide it a little bit better. And then while that is drying, we're going to work on this exhaust. Now I have an idea in my head that I think is going to work for what I envision. First admit there's probably a better way to cut this out than with this, but this is the tools I have. I don't want to break my ankles or my shins. Alright, so here's what we got so far. I got my tip drilled and bolted to this plate that I'm going to space out. I'm going to go ahead and tack these nuts on the back here so they're on there permanently. Cut that bolt off. And then once I clean this up, I'm going to try to bend it around this guy and weld her on there. We'll see how good my welding skills are. Actually, it's pretty thick stuff. It's probably going to be tricky to get that bent around there, but we'll work at it. First thing I'm going to do is tack these nuts on here though. Tack, tack. Alright, there she is. My welds still aren't super great yet, but I cleaned it up pretty good. Good enough when it's covered with paint. It'll hide all these little oopsies. Of course, I'm still using flux core, which doesn't give you as clean of a weld anyway. But there's my little spacer. Here, of course, is with the tip on. I still gotta drill out my hole. Now we can take and weld this puppy on there like that. So I'm gonna clean the paint off this muffler here, clean this up a little bit, and weld her fast, and then we'll check back in with you. I'm pretty happy with that. Not being a professional welder and using the Harbor Freight flux core where I get a lot of slag in my welds are looking better. They don't look so hack jobby anyway. So now this is done, we'll be able to unbolt this and fab up our snorkel. But before we do that, I'm curious to see if this is gonna sound any different with that little bit of an extension on there. Let's just fire the old girl up and see if it sounds different. Not really. It may have just a touch deeper tone to it. I think it does, just a little bit deeper tone. Let me know what you guys think in the comment below. Do you think it deepened the tone a little bit, adding that little spacer out? We ended up coming out with it pretty much an inch. Tomorrow we're gonna hop right back in and see if we can't fab up a snorkel tailpipe for playing in the mud. Time to get back at her. Alright, that's pretty much it for mock-up. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off, weld her around the whole way, and we'll pop her on there. I am curious how this is going to sound, so I think before we do anything else, let's start it and see what that does to change the sound. Wow, that really quieted it. That is super quiet now. That's cool. Nice. That little bit of pipe just kind of quieted her down. All right, I'm gonna pull her and get her welded. Alright, Snorkel all welded up. I must say my welds are starting to get better. They're still not pro quality by any means, and I am still using flux core, so I get a lot of the splatter because I'm not using gas. but they are starting to at least be more consistent. I'm not getting as much burn through. So next thing I gotta do is I wanna fasten this to this rack to give it a little stability, or else it's gonna end up ripping that off. So I got a couple different size U-bolts here. I think the 1 3/4 inch will be perfect. Excellent. So all I'm going to do is line this up, drill a couple holes through my rack that I can put this U-bolt through and bolt it. I'll probably put a couple welds on it to hold it still. And that'll give us a little additional support to hold that snorkel whenever it's on. And we'll be able to bolt it and unbolt it, so we can swap in and out like I intend to do. Alright, so that, look at that, I'm shaking the whole buggy. So that should be plenty to hold that pipe on there good and solid. And I can still easily bolt and unbolt it. Hey guys, what do you think of my welds there? I think, yeah, my screen's all dirty. I just think my welds are not looking too shabby. We're getting there, guys. Slowly but surely, I'm getting better. So anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up right here. This is pretty much done. I am gonna wrap it with header wrap. I have a bunch of that left over from the turbo. We're gonna wrap this, paint probably this part that's not gonna be wrapped. We'll probably only wrap it to here and then just paint the tip. And I gotta order some exhaust gasket so I can make a nice gasket for here, so it's good and sealed and water can't get past this flange, because it did warp a little bit welding it, which it's not real thick. It's 16 gauge, so that's not surprising, but I'll get some exhaust gasket material, cut an exhaust gasket to fit in there, and then it should seal up nice when we're in the water. Which, it's winter, it's about 12 degrees out there, so we're probably not gonna get to test this out a whole lot. But as soon as the weather breaks and gets nice, we get some good mud with some decently warm water. Unless I can get someone like Gator Waders to sponsor Appalachian Mountain Riders and send me some deep water riding gear. Then we'll just wait till spring and we'll test all this stuff out. We'll be able to test this snorkel out here, as I'm going to be riding at AOAA sometime in February. I haven't hit a date yet for that. Me and Greg's going to go up there and do some riding for a winter ride, since AOAA is open all winter long. I'll make sure to post when we're going to be up there. That way, if you guys are handy and want to come and join the ride, you can. But yeah, I'm very pleased with how that turned out, and being able to run both a snorkel when I want to play in the deep mud, and then just my regular exhaust tip when I'm trail riding. So I think that's worth it. It turned out nice. Be a little extra added security for my turbo should I get in the water and the unfortunate happens I stall. We at least won't have water running right straight into our turbo, because we should be able, if I go any deeper than this, guys, I'm going to be in trouble, because I don't have my display gauge or anything sealed. My control box for the turbo, the dyno jet monitor, is not made for submersion. So I probably made this a lot taller than I needed to, but hey, better safe than sorry. And we're up pretty much even with our snorkels. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are excited for what's coming for 2022. Now that this guy's done, I want to get the Warrior back in here. I know you guys haven't seen that for a while. I rebuilt the top end. We had an issue. If you guys remember, I had it in here when I had Zippy in here the last time, and then I fixed Zippy, got it running good, and we never saw the Warrior. Well, that's coming. I'll explain what happened to that. We're going to do some more work on that so I can get that sold, because I need funds for a project build I'm going to be doing with that monster street bike motor. So that's going to be coming up here real soon. I'm going to start that. And some things are still in the work for the R-Max too. RPM's sending me their oval series muffler, which is quieter than the round series, so we got to test that out. And there's a couple other performance goodies coming from the R-Max here. So we're going to kick off 2022 with a bang. And of course, we know there's always going to be lots of Mighty Mouse content coming in the future. So guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your support. Like, subscribe, comment, all that YouTube jazz you guys know and get bugged to death to do. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, God bless and keep on riding.